2, 3, 4.
Where arts and culture summits the airwaves, this is the Nine Rails Arts Podcast. I am R. Brandon Long alongside Todd Obendorfer, and we are the Banyan Collective, arts and adventure podcasting since 2010. This episode includes our second interview with Inkwell founders, science illustrator and muralist Jane Kim, and adventure journalist Thayer Walker. Joining us from Weber State University was Visual Art and Design Department Head Matt Choberka and Dean of Lindquist College of Arts and Humanities, Scott Sprenger. Art student Aubrey Eckhardt, representing one of 3 interns assisting Jane Kim on Phase 3 of Ogden's Migrating Mural project, also sat in on our interview. And finally, we feature our favorite readings from the Utah Humanities Book Festival Literally Podcast Reunion at Good Company Theater. A dozen national and local authors gathered in Ogden for a book signing, group podcast, and individual readings. And we chose our favorite to air on this Nine Rails Arts Podcast episode.
So, if I'm not mistaken, Brandon, one more hole punch on our Nine Rails Art Podcast hole punch card, and I think Inkwell gets like a free beer, a free coffee.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think considering this is our 5th episode, and they've now been on 2 of the 5 episodes, that it just shows how special this group is to us.
They get one free podcast for themselves.
Oh, that seems fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. Yeah. Well, like we said before, we're kind of making this up as we go, and I think that is an excellent way to bring people back. And so this is, again, Inkwell is joining us, not on Choberka Porch this time.
No,
we
this
are
was up in the Browning
Institute
Center.
of Finer Education, of Learning.
Were you nervous,
my
though?
work.
Because this was sort of your...
Not necessarily nervous, but it's not a van.
No.
It's not, where we usually set
It was
up.
a
It's not on
boardroom.
a trailhead. Yes, it really was.
Yeah.
And so my boss was there. My boss's boss was there. And so I'll be perfectly honest, they're so supportive of everything that I do. And I actually quite enjoy listening to them talk, both of them, when they do give lectures and talks and things. And so I was really looking forward to this angle, the Weber State Phase 3 of the Migrating Mural. And so the conversation did go... a different direction. We talked to Inkwell for, how long was it? It was nearly an hour or something last time.
On the Choberka Porch, the part that made the podcast was about an hour, but I think we were there for 4 days. But yeah,
it kind of feel like it. We were truly hanging out,
but it went by
right?
super fast. Yeah,
And so we really covered some bases. We really, hopefully filled in the audience on Inkwell's background and Jane's background and Thayer's background and everything. And so this went the direction of Weber State really getting this whole project started.
yeah. So this is our interview with Inkwell's Jane Kim and company, recorded from the Browning Center on the campus of Weber State University.
Should we be recording this?
Oh, it is being recorded. Oh, it is. But I pre-record just in case, so we don't miss anything.
Anything good?
I don't want to miss a thing.
See, that's how it's going to start. You started the last
Singing
one.
last time,
Whiskey.
but you didn't.
Yeah.
This is going to start at one of these points about 2 minutes ago. That's probably when we're going to start doing this. Well, welcome back to Jane Kim Part 2. You would not be contained with one episode. So we are back for a second helping. We are meeting at Weber State this time around. We are in a conference room, so we're not on Choberka Porch, but we did bring Choberka with us. And so it's representative.
Everybody can relax now.
So we're going to go around the table real quick. My name's Todd, of course. My partner in crime, Brandon, recording as usual. Jane Kim is back. Thayer Walker is back. My
Howdy.
boss is here, and my boss's boss is here. So
Wait, Todd, are you sweating?
We are nameless.
for some reason, I'm still
names,
comfortable,
or-
but we'll see what we can do. So Matt Choberka, the department head with Department of Visual Art Design at Weber State, and our Dean of College of Arts and Humanities, Scott Sprenger, is here. So let's kind of walk around the table real quick. Feel free and introduce something new about yourself, Thayer. Something we didn't pick up on last week.
Oh, wow. Gosh. Let's see. I love long walks on the beach, puppy dogs, and I can hold my breath for 3.5 minutes.
That was worth it right there alone. Thank you very much.
3.5 minutes is a long time.
Yeah.
Do you have a puppy dog?
I don't have a puppy dog. Our apartment in San Francisco does not allow for it, but I have an affinity for them nonetheless.
But you're pro puppy.
I'm pro puppy. I'm on the puppy party.
But once they become dogs, you don't like them anymore.
There's just something so cute with the floppy ears and the oversized paws and the lack of like understanding their body movement and motor skills. It's just like it looks like they're just continuously on like ice skates. So it's who doesn't love puppies?
Well, I know you guys were thinking about your next Migration Mural project, puppies.
Migrating puppies.
Migrating puppies.
Back and forth to the lawn. And
I think that would do pretty well, actually. I think people would. I mean, you'd be shocked at the number of requests Jane gets to paint pets and draw
that's
pets.
where the money is the puppies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Portraits.
Yeah, seriously. We've had a few discussions, and she has come pretty firmly down on the side of I'm not doing that.
Have you never done one? I think
I
every
have.
artist has done a pet portrait.
I have, but for really dear friends and
And you didn't sign
dear
it.
puppy friends. Of course I signed it, but it's not something that I advertise that I do. I do enjoy them, so maybe that's something that I shouldn't even say out loud, because there's something really beautiful about capturing someone's lifelong friend, and it's nice. And the reaction makes it worth every minute that gets spent on it.
Indeed.
So if you're listening to this podcast and you have the inkling to reach out, butterflies, yes, puppies no.
We're just a little busy right now.
We're just a little
That's all
busy
it
right
is,
now.
yeah. Brandon, what do we not know about you?
I'm a child actor star, I think, is if you find YouTube and do some searching
And what was the name of
around.
what was your big project?
Miracles and Other Wonders.
And it was was it an after school special?
After school special.
Awesome.
Sold to Germany.
Wow.
Solid.
Wow.
Was it
wow.
big?
That's how it all started.
That's how it all started, yeah. I was a track
like
star who
Ogden's
lost a leg.
Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then got stabbed. It was a dramatic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it an uncomfortable filming? Did they have to did they green screen your leg, or were you did they have it pinned up, or what was
they
the-
pin it up.
Oh.
They pin it up. Yeah.
Oh dang.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was fun though.
Wow.
Yeah. Not very many people know that. 'cause
that
was a
part will
whole-
all be edited out.
whole lifetime ago.
I actually just fell asleep. Yeah, exactly. Scott, see now this is your first time on the microphone. Thank you so much for joining us. You can just talk a little bit about yourself, your position with Weber State.
I thought you were going to ask me about my secret life. And I was
That's
going
the
to say, I don't
second
really
time
have
around.
one.
It's just this.
My connection with Weber State, so I've been here this is the start of my third year. And it's a really fun job. I come from the humanities. I'm a literary scholar, but the half of the college is in the arts. And so I've had a big, steep learning curve, learning about mainly performing arts and managing a big performing arts center. So that part's been fun. It's actually funner than my own side of the college in a way.
Yeah, where the action is.
Yeah.
No, that's perfect. Yeah. Matt?
Well, as you mentioned, I'm the chair of the Department of Visual Art and Design, and so I've had the chance to be involved in this project pretty much since inception in last summer. I guess we've started talking about this, and it's been fantastic to work with these guys. And bringing the mural to the atrium is going to be a real touchstone for us. We're excited about it. So
That was a perfect transition. Thank you so much.
that's what I do.
In fact, I'll just bring you in for that
That's
alone.
what painting is all about.
So we talked about this a little bit on our last
Relationships.
conversation, but I would love to kind of retouch on Weber's involvement. You got the ball rolling originally. Scott, what was it that just drew you to this project originally?
I first heard about it when I came to Jane's talk back in spring of 2017, I guess. Yeah, it's been over a year now.
We talked about that the other day. It was a small group of us. We
Yeah,
were
there are
saying
only
it was
there are
around
only maybe a
70.
dozen
Yeah,
people.
but it was all the right people.
Right. So, yeah, we were trying to establish a relationship with Summit Powder Mountain, their Artist-in-Residence program through Marshall Birnbaum. And he reached out and to you, I guess, right?
Right.
First.
Right.
And so, yeah, Jane, you were the first one to come. There were other speakers since.
It was kind of what was going to be the first of many, and I assume that.
And
we'll probably get
I was
things going
just,
again.
I was captivated by the story and by the project. I like the idea of art with a purpose, and this particular purpose seemed like such a great fit with Utah and Ogden being a kind of staging area for the Monarchs, and I didn't know about that. So, and I think I just kind of joked because, you know, the venues that you'd painted in before were much more prestigious or well-known than Ogden or Weber State, for example. And I thought, oh, you know, maybe you should do one on campus. I don't know if you remember this or not, but this is how I remember it. And you're like, yeah, we'd really like to do that, actually. So then that kind of was the impetus for figuring out how to do it. And it just so happens that we have this beautiful program, the Hurst Artist-in-Residency, that has an endowment that allows us to pay for artists to come to our campus in Ogden. And so
That's amazing.
yeah. So then I sit on this board with the county where Thane and Scott Petria, Thane Fisher and Scott Petria also sit. And I shared this idea with them. I guess, I don't know if Scott was at that.
He was also at the talk.
He was also there, but I don't know if they really had the idea of going forward with it. And I think when they saw that we were going to do it, they wanted to get on board with it. And especially Thane when he understood what the importance was. And then we reached out to the Ogden Nature Center. And so we thought, okay, this is kind of over our heads in a way. Why don't we apply for a ramp grant with the city? And so I wrote that grant for the three of us. And we were unsuccessful. And it was a bit of a setback. But we thought, you know what, this is too important. We need to forge ahead anyway. And, you know, came up with the money, and Thane came up with his funding, and so did the Nature Center. And so, you know, with a little perseverance and persistence, we were able to make it happen. And we're just thrilled that it did happen.
Yeah,
So-
thank you. And I feel like that's not an uncommon story for any of these kinds of things, including conservation or just anything interesting that happens in the world.
Yeah. And it came together really so quickly in terms of us really having a meeting of the minds, I think, about doing the project too. I mean, my recollection is that Todd mentioned this maybe on a Monday of a week, maybe the weekend, maybe late the previous week, but by Friday we were having your talk in
that came
Yeah,
in our
it came
conference
about
room.
very quickly.
And we brought some
Yes.
friends of the department in there and some other people interested in arts and conservation from the community, that they were all together in a room, not a big group, but obviously an important group, because I think by the week following that, we were in discussions in at least 2 or 3 directions about how this could really work for the university and for the community more broadly. So,
you know, the thing that also struck me too that was really nice, and it was reassuring, and I knew this was going to happen, was the commitment that you all put forward from the get-go. And there was a real sense of, we're gonna make this happen.
Right.
And
We don't know how.
We don't know how.
But it was that confidence that even
Yeah.
I felt from the very beginning. And I
Totally.
think it just oozed honestly from you, Scott, where it was just like, not sure exactly how yet, but we're
gonna do it.
moving forward on
That's
this.
kind of how I do things anyway.
Yeah, that's amazing, and that's the best way to get things done.
Well, it's exciting to see, as you know, as an outsider. We live in the Bay Area in California, and seeing the passion and the drive, not just here at Weber State, but I mean particularly here at Weber State, but also in the Weber County and Ogden as well. This real commitment for of the community to really sort of grow and realize, I think, what this area really has to offer. I went to UC Santa Cruz, which is a spectacular campus, and I actually hadn't really spent any time on campus until that first meeting here, and I came back here and I was like, whoa, this is like the UC Santa Cruz of the Wasatch. You have the mountains right here, and the really beautiful buildings, and clearly
World-class skiing. 20 minutes away.
Exactly. I probably would never go to class. So
That's why you have to take like a snowboarding class.
Exactly. So I think for Inkwell, the way that the community as a whole has embraced this and embraced us as, part of this or helping with that evolution has been a real treat and an honor. And, we're telling everyone that there's exciting things happening here in Ogden because, it's true. It's beautiful. Yeah.
You know, the Bay Area is pretty nice. So I want you to.
But
I don't want you to feel too bad.
Everyone knows about that.
Not
It's all
everybody
very
can live in Ogden.
Exactly.
Not
And that's
everyone now
okay.
can live in the Bay Area.
Well, it's priced most people out.
Yeah,
frankly.
exactly.
It's a steep price to pay living in San
Yeah.
Francisco. Yeah.
Just saying, if we do set up some sort of exchange program situation.
We're all about it.
We're all about that. We have a very small, modest flat that we're happy to open up for programs.
And so you are coming off of you're sort of entering phase 3 of this
Yes.
project. So phase 1, as a reminder, you did some banners at the Ogden Nature Center. You've just finished up your massive mural at the Monarch. How did that dedication go?
It was so moving. I thought everyone had such wonderful things to say, and we really felt all the love. And it was fun to see everybody enjoy the mural in the way that they did.
Can I just give a shout out to Scott Patria, because I don't think no one has ever given Jane a bouquet of milkweed before. So
Right.
for those of us who wasn't there, it was the end of the dedication and there was all the speechifying and we thought it was all over. And Scott kind of comes out of the corner and hands Jane, I mean, it's like the kind of bouquet you would give to, like, you know,
Beauty pageant.
Your
Yeah.
beauty pageant, right? But it was all milkweed, which was just so unexpected, but also perfect. And
Tears. I had tears.
Tears, yeah.
I had
It
tears.
was like
It was a nice gesture.
It was
I'll be honest, I was charmed by
It was
Scott
very,
Patria.
very
So
charming.
charmed.
I'm always charmed by Scott.
Shout out,
Patria.
Scott. Good
Yeah.
job.
Okay, so where you're entering the phase
He
3.
did nail it, though, didn't he? I mean,
Yeah,
he
his
did.
opening
Completely
remarks
nailed
talked
it.
about
Yeah. No, absolutely.
every salient aspect of this and why we're all involved in this.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to get redundant with all the speakers, but everybody had a different facet of the story.
Yeah.
So I thought it was actually listenable all the way through.
Totally, me too. Yeah.
It was a really beautiful day.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
That was the last hot day of the year, I think.
It was a little
Stay
toasty in the
tuned.
sun.
Yeah, stay tuned.
So
Hope
you
you're
are
right.
entering phase 3, and phase 3 is on a campus.
Yes.
Right? And so, when was the last time you worked on a campus?
The last time I worked on a campus was at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology.
And so I think that is a nice transition to talk about that. How's that feel,
Yeah.
kind of going back into that environment? And how do you see, as far as the benefit of students? We're being joined today as well by Aubrey Eckhardt, who will be helping you out. She's one of our students, and we'll chat with her. Hey, do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Hi, Aubrey.
We'll get more specific in a second. So what are your thoughts about coming onto the campus?
I really enjoy working with universities. I'm not going to lie. It's a different pace, which is totally nice sometimes to be able to work with a facility, work with a team of people. I really enjoy working with students at the lab. We also worked with about 5 students, both in the art department and in biology departments, to help create the wall of birds. So I think that being able to expose and be in an academic setting where there are lots of disciplines, I'm really looking forward to working with the botany department and talking about other aspects of the Monarch and not just art. So it's amazing. We can, that's what a university is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a collection of minds and various disciplines, and I'm looking forward to that.
And honestly, everyone on campus comes to, we have the best coffee, right?
Yeah.
And so,
Is this true?
No, it's true.
Well,
no,
perk.
literally, everyone will see it through that alone. No question about that.
They'll walk by it
whatsoever.
every day.
I can't wait to
Oh my
discover
gosh.
this.
Yes, I didn't know about this. You did
And
not
you'll
put
be working
that
right above
at
the best
top.
coffee on campus.
They just
Yeah.
started using
It's a marketing campaign
a
for the
different
coffee
coffee
shop.
supplier too, right? A different brewer.
Oh, that's all this is. Yeah.
They're using the one down on Washington, the Daily Rise. They just started supplying the coffee for them, which is fantastic coffee. And it's really it's a little bit of a main street, a little bit of a hub for the whole campus.
So cool.
Because of that. So I think you're actually going to have more.
What time do they open?
They open at pretty early, 7:30. But there'll be a lot of faculty and students from all over campus and staff coming through for that reason anyway.
Wow.
And,
Great.
And students use that room as a study hall, which we may have to curtail a little bit because of just the amount of work intensivity we're going to have in there.
Yeah.
But you're going to have a lot of, in addition to the 300-400 majors from the department, you're going to have a lot of other walk-in business, people that just come and find out about it and start spreading the word, which I'm excited about, in terms of how that's going to work on campus. That's going to create a new sense of community too. I think a lot of people are going to be stopping by.
Awesome.
The other dimension of it is the artist-in-residency, the Hurst Artist-in-Residency. So for me as a dean, the project is beautiful, but I also think it's really important to include students in these projects to see how this is done. And, I think at regional university like this, a lot of students don't expect to have something like this happen on their campus. And one of the great surprises for me as a dean is that the community members that go way back, actually, the Brownings and Lindquist and Hurst and many more, have given so much money to this university set aside in endowments for things like this. So we have Browning Presents, and we're able to bring people like Sean Jones, and we're bringing Ronan Farrow.
So
they're not cheap people to bring, but it adds a lot of excitement to the campus and sort of lifts everybody. And then the Artist-in-Residency program, to have you here and be in an office in the Kimball Visual Arts Center for a month, and students can come and meet you. I think we sometimes forget how inspiring that little spark can be when you meet somebody who's famous or from somewhere else, and sometimes that can change lives. Right?
I thank you so much. I fully agree. There's something so different about me being here, working here, living here, experiencing Ogden and Weber State versus coming for a lecture, giving a 1 hour, 2 hour talk. It's a totally different situation. So I'm very much looking forward to meeting students. And encourage them to come.
You'll get to meet the Hurst family as well, who endowed.
Oh, of course, fantastic! I'm gonna give a big hug. I hope they're huggers because I'm a hugger.
Well, and I want to say, the fact that the students are going to see this project go from an entirely blank slate to a finished mural in a month's time or 5 weeks' time is a priceless lesson. It makes something like the Hurst residency utterly different than another kind of visiting artist program.
Totally.
So we're really excited about that, to truly be in residence in the building like that and to make work.
And thank you for the studio.
In the world after that wasn't there before. That's.
Yeah.
But it makes it more real too, because I think most of the time when you're young, you see finished products and you think, oh, I could never write like that, or I could never paint like that. And then you actually see the behind the scenes how it's done. It's like, oh, maybe I could do something like that.
Totally. Yeah.
Especially with the help of some student peers. So this is a nice time, Aubrey. So how'd you find out about this opportunity? When do you start? And and then what are sort of your expectations? I do know that we did get to know Laura and Fio, a couple of your assistants, that you, and we were teasing a little bit, but you kind of sourced through a program that you were teaching at the university, right?
Yes.
And so meaning you just never know where opportunities come from, right?
Totally.
And so I was telling Aubrey about that, so that's kind of exciting. So where did you find out about this?
So I actually had one of my teachers put my name in, and I'd heard about the Migrating Mural around town, but I hadn't really looked into it too much. And then when I started looking at your guys' website and kind of figuring out more about the project, I started getting so excited, and kind of to play off what was said earlier, I'm still walking on clouds. I'm still I get to help with this. Oh my gosh, it's just so exciting, especially from a student's point of view, just to be a part of something that's bringing awareness to the students here at Weber State. Not that it just looks good on paper, but the experience as well. I'm so excited to be a part of it. I'm a junior here, so I never expected to be, watching something. I mean, I see works of art everywhere around campus, and I'm just like, oh man, I want to be a part of this. Where do I even start? So to, have your, teachers or other students kind of tell you about certain things, just, raising that awareness, or seeing those posters, around that, hey, help wanted, hey, we need you, and actually it kind of encourages other students to start pushing themselves. Don't be shy. Get out there, because you're not going to get noticed if you don't just push yourself and try. You never know. So.
Wow, you're hired. That was really good.
Yeah, totally.
So what are you studying?
So I'm in actually the Bachelor's for Fine Arts degree for the graphic design, but eventually I want to go into illustration. So, yeah.
Perfect.
One of the key words she said was, it was so unexpected. And Christy, who was in here a moment ago, is our PR and marketing director for the college. And the sort of tagline that she came up with for this year and maybe the next couple of years is expect the unexpected. And I think a lot of our students are just local, and they just see it as a convenient place to go to college, and they don't necessarily expect that much just to get their degree. And again, with these programs of bringing artists in and many other things, I mean, there are just great things going on this campus, and the longer I stay, the more I uncover. We really do want to draw attention to the fact that there are all kinds of really unexpected things that happen here. And so we want to keep people on their toes and look for those things, rather than just think, oh, it's the college next door. What'd you say?
Like that.
Call me.
Hustler. We got a hustler over here. I love it.
Which we talked about that as
marketing
well.
career in the
Yeah.
works too.
Okay, so one thing I do want to touch on before any of us sort of split up is, in addition to everything else, we are planning a lecture for October 12th. And what should we expect?
What should we expect? Well, you can expect
the unexpected. I guess we talked about that. Yeah. Exactly. So never mind. You're good.
She's gonna sing it.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm gonna sing and dance.
She actually could. It'd be a good show.
No, but you will learn a bit more about Inkwell, about our other projects, about books that are coming out for us that we're very excited about. So I don't want to reveal too much because I want you all to come to the lecture. But yeah, you will learn more about who Inkwell is and what we care about.
Thayer. So there's this book coming out.
Oh yes, there is.
Can we talk about that for a second?
We
didn't even mention that on the last show.
What? And I'm so sorry. I actually brought it with me and put it in my bag, which I have now left in my truck. So I wanted to bring it to you to show you guys. 'Cause I'm not sure if anyone has seen it.
I've
yet.
seen
I've seen it.
Todd's
Seen
seen
pictures
it.
of it. Yeah. But yeah, we got a book coming out. It's October 23rd. It's one of the things that I'm sure Jane will talk about during the lecture. But it's called The Wall of Birds, published by HarperCollins, and it's all about that epic, nearly 3-year project that Jane did at the Cornell Lab, and
Thayer and I co-authored this.
Yeah, we
book.
co-authored it together. It's a really wonderful journey, not just through art and the natural world, but also really explores what birds can teach us about a lot of social issues that are at the forefront of our discourse, of our national discourse today. Things like like immigration and diversity and gender issues, and even just concepts as simple as science seem to be very politically charged these days, and evolution. So it's an exploration of those themes, and really uncovers some unexpected lessons that birds can teach us about ourselves. So it's a beautiful book, of course, to probably no one's surprise, given that it's all about Jane's work. We'll be talking about it then, and you can pick it up at thewallofbirds.com. You can pre-order it even. So shameless plug right there.
Matt, Scott, Jane, Thayer, Aubrey, thank you so much for coming in. Do we miss anything?
We got to do a podcast selfie.
Okay.
Okay, here
I'm not
we go.
sure what that means.
Oh yeah.
Oh, got it.
Awesome.
1, 2, 3.
Nice.
Nice.
Will you shoot that?
Priorities.
Yeah, we'll post it up. Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks again for popping in, you guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks
This
for having
next 4 or 5 weeks? What's the plan at this point? 4 weeks?
4 weeks. 4 weeks.
Last time you said 4 weeks, I'm like, how on earth is that Monarch? How's that going to be done in 4 weeks? No problem.
Yeah,
You
4
work
weeks.
fast.
You work fast.
Yeah.
Long hours.
Long
Yeah.
hours, great team. We're gonna really show Aubrey what we do in a grind situation, and this is a grind situation.
Well, I look forward to it. We're sharing a wall, so you're.
I know, I can't wait. We're gonna learn Morse code so we can send each other messages through the walls.
That's awesome.
And who knows? Maybe there'll be a Jane Kim part 3. So thank you so much.
Yay! Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So the Literally podcast has been going for 2 years now.
2 years.
2 years. And Case, the host of the Literally podcast, literature podcast, got together a reunion and combined it with the Utah Humanities Book Festival. And the reunion was held down at Good Company Theater. About a dozen authors, national authors. We had 3 or 4 from out of state come, and out of town, come down here to Ogden for a podcast that you can hear.
See, I was expecting, I should have read the description of the event. I thought it was some sort of literary throwdown, like a literal, like a Mad Max throwdown type thing. Where 2 authors enter and 1 author leaves,
12 authors enter, 1 author. That's a different podcast.
Okay, see, I just assumed when I saw, maybe I didn't even see throwdown. Maybe I just wanted that. Exactly, yeah.
They sort of did, because what I mentioned to them, so they did the podcast part, and then after the podcast there was a book signing and refreshments and things, and then we repositioned the chairs and they each did a reading.
Right.
Maximum of 7 minutes of their read. Well, I think maybe a little bit more, but that was the given max of 7 minutes. And before they started, I said, okay, we're going to choose our favorite.
Oh, did you say that?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Reading tonight to feature on the Nine Rails Arts podcast, and one of the authors said, "Oh, it's on." So there was a little bit of that.
So it was kind of a throwdown.
It was kind of a throwdown.
And we did pick a favorite.
We did. We picked a favorite. So this is Shane Griffith's short story where she unbelievably uses these three multiple prompts, and she'll explain it as she introduces the story. Multiple prompts to include in a short story about clowns and roots and things. It's just very...
Well, I learned so much, right, with all of these different authors, how they like to write, right? And so in her case, she liked the restrictions, the parameters, and working within that. So not only did she have like a single prompt, I think she was working in three different ones. Yeah.
I believe.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. All right, so this is Shane Griffiths during her live reading at the Utah Humanities Book Festival, literally podcast reunion.
I don't have a bio for Shane, but she told me to not even give her a bio. So, of course, Shane has done a lot of podcasts with us as a co-host. What is your official title? Director of Creative Writing at Weber State University, is that right? Not anymore. It's bigger now, huh? It's longer. Okay. Well, Shane's book, Borrowed Horses, was one of my favorite books I've read in the last few years. And if you get an opportunity to read it, you really, really should. She's published so widely that the bio probably isn't worth it. Thanks for everything, Shane.
Tell him not to do a bio, and he does a bio anyways. Tell me about it. So the poet Terence Hayes was asked once why he liked to write in form. Why rhyme? Why meter? Why now? Like sonnets, aren't they a dead thing? And he said, if you can break dance, that's cool. But if you can break dance in a straitjacket, that's better. And I've always liked writing with some kind of constraint involved. Usually that takes the form of a prompt. In this case, I was listening to a podcast one day. I think it was Radiolab. It might have been This American Life. But they were talking about this thought experiment where if you buried the key to nuclear war in somebody's heart, and then the president had to actually manually kill that person to get the key out, you'd probably have fewer wars. And I thought, that's kind of a cool idea for a story. But then I also thought, that's sci-fi, you don't write sci-fi. It simmered. And then a journal that I love and now work with, Barrel House, listed, they had this writing prompt series they had called Stupid Ideas Junk Drawer, where they took all these stupid ideas they had for writing prompts and threw them out in the world, and if you could write a story about it, awesome. And they had one that was called Clown Parents Disappointed in Non-Clown Child. And I was like, I know about disappointment. And being a disappointment to your child and possibly having children who sometimes disappoint you, I'm all over that one. And so I had these two story ideas, and I didn't know what to do with them. And then I thought maybe actually they're the same story, and maybe what I need to do is just layer a couple of prompts on one another. And then I thought, one more constraint would probably be a really good idea. And so I heard about this prompt that was to write a story whose last line was, "Money is the root of all evil, but a man needs roots." I was like, okay, I'm in. Let's see how this goes. The key bearer's parents. We were good parents. We know people assume otherwise when they see our wide ties and honking red noses, but we were. We took that job seriously. We told our son that he could be anything he wanted to be, just like you're supposed to. Yes, we could see his embarrassment when we showed up for career day, how he threw the basketball into the field as our tiny car pulled in so that his friends would look away. And though we were happy clowns, smiles broader and wider than any lips, the disappointment underneath our makeup was easy to read. It's fine, we said, fitting on our oversized shoes and adjusting the flowers in our hats. We told ourselves he would get over it. On the news, the talk was all nuclear war and how to avoid it. The broadcast filled with the whole key-bearer plan. Ethicists argued that war would be less likely if some kind of key were implanted in a person's heart. What president wouldn't pause if he had to stab the bearer to drop that bomb? The president, they said, must be the first to bloody his hands. We sheltered our boy from all that talk. Children should have aspirations. They should believe in their own future, if nothing else. We gave him tennis lessons, enrolled him in Spanish and pottery classes. No sooner did he tell us what his friends had signed up for than we were in the parks office, signing him up as well. Sure, we showed him our own trade secrets, how to walk in hoop-belted trousers, how to paint a face that reduces you to a single emotion. But he wasn't really interested, and we wouldn't hold him back. We only wished his aspirations weren't so heavily laced with judgment against our own. Fine, though, fine. While Congress continued its endless debates, we sent him to prep school and on to private college, exhausting all that we'd saved, and then a series of loans. Early on, we'd worried over his talk of grad school and MBA, how on earth we would afford it. He wanted to be a professional, he said. A professional what? We never asked. He'd decide that in time. We pictured him leaning over a mahogany desk, sleeves rolled and tie abandoned, late at night when everyone else in the office had left. We pictured his boss patting him on the back one morning, telling him he'd made partner, or would be the next CFO, or had earned whatever accolades his future business would hold. The summer before his junior year, our son came home, played tennis with his friends in the morning, and drank bourbon in the afternoon. No one should be so angry wearing white shorts. In Congress, the idea of burying a key to nuclear annihilation like a treasure in a human chest was gaining traction. What about a trip to the fair, we asked. We'll get elephant ears, ride rides. You always loved the tilt-a-whirl. Fuck the tilted world, he growled, impressed with his own cleverness and wordplay, as he once again grabbed his racket and headed out. Makeupless and uncostumed, we watched him play, relegated to the parked car where we were something separate. He scowled through the chain link, each serve fueled by rage. His forehands were brutal, his overheads unapologetically smashed into the stomachs of his opponents. Perhaps he'll be a tennis coach, we whispered. That at least would bring some kind of joy, right? A brand of entertainment? When he decided not to go back to school, there was the electrician apprenticeship, and we thought, okay, no college, no being a professional, but blue collar is fine. Our last electrician complained that he could only charge $58 an hour here when he got $92 in California 10 years ago. All of which seemed hopeful enough. It was more than we'd ever seen clowning, but that's life in the arts for you. Our boy was practical. Maybe he'd had too much time with his snobby friends. Now, if he wanted, he didn't have to play tennis anymore or talk to anyone who did. We thought maybe his anger had spent itself out. When the bill passed, even the electrician thing evaporated. Yes, they voted, a bipartisan victory, and called for a volunteer to fill the key-bearer's post. Good benefits, they claimed, a life of luxury, so long as you are willing to be murdered at any moment. We snorted at the nightly news. Who, we asked one another, would ever volunteer for such a thing? The whims of politics? The fickle world? Be serious. Life was too precious. If we knew anything, we knew that. Our son was already filling out the online application. And now that he's been selected, fished from their pool of thousands of applicants, we know we should be happy for him. He has what he always wanted: steady pay, gourmet food on demand, a home in the nation's mansion, all the time for tennis in the world. Still, we can't help wondering, is it easier to kill a man who never laughs? This boy of ours, we wish we could paint a smile on his face, teach him to spread cheer. We wonder how he ever grew so joyless. We tried to show him better, right to the end. Money, we said, is the root of all evil. He only looked at us, mustering the closest thing to a grin he's ever possessed. Yes, he said, but a man needs roots.
And that is a wrap for episode 5 of the Nine Rails Arts Podcast, produced by the Banyan Collective, arts and adventure podcasting since 2010. Give us a follow, the Nine Rails Arts Podcast, on Facebook and also on Instagram at the number 9 for Nine Rails, or you can search the Banyan Collective on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. The Nine Rails Arts Podcast is now individually hosted on iTunes and Stitcher, so you can simply just search
Nine Rails Arts Podcast.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. All right. This week we'll leave you with a little something from our Van Sessions archives. We were lucky enough to get Next Ensemble into the van. They performed a violin and clarinet duet from Paul
Hindemith.
I think that's how you say it. Is that right? Is it from Paul
Hindemith.
Yeah, that's got to be right.
It's almost too fancy for us, right? I think it's
Paul
Hindemith.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And in a van down by the railroad tracks, which was pretty fun. And we'll be back this Friday, October 5th, for another Van Sessions at the Monarch. So stay tuned.
The next piece we're going to play, as I was saying before we got up here, now for something completely different. This was another German, and his name is Paul Hindemith. And he was equally as adept and prolific as Bach was. And he wrote for every single combination of instrument there is, Paul Hindemith. And he, of course, when I was searching for violin and clarinet duets, I found a wonderful duet by Hindemith for violin and clarinet. And Cindy Child, principal clarinetist of Chamber Orchestra Ogden, is going to be joining me.